And hello again, boys and girls. Welcome back to the channel. And of course, your host Marley Startled. And as a man of my word, we're continuing to pump out more content, like a sweatshop of low quality garbage. But we are the Temu of YouTube, and today we're going to be doing a review of an auto battler called Mechabellum. So I have got, if I take a look at my game, I've got 15.2 hours of it. I played it back when it was sort of early access, so it's something I'm quite used to, but there's quite a lot of changes to it recently. It's just very fascinating. So what is Mechabellum? Well, Mechabellum is effectively an auto battler. I'm going to make sure I get rid of this chat because I don't really want to. There we go. I don't really want to see what's on there, just in case some nasty memes come up. Yep, so it's an auto battler where you effectively have to fight against an opponent and knock out their armies, and whatever's left takes away their life points. Whoever wins is the one who's got the most life points at the end of the game. And what I quite like about this game is it's very much a simplistic sort of design choice. It's very much a rock paper scissors game. Rock beats paper. Certain robots beat other certain robots, but it's the complexity and the different units that sort of bounce off each other. So one particular robot will be extremely good at certain things, while others will be extremely weak. This means that you end up having this sort of chess game because each round you see what your enemy has, then you think about how can I counter that. Of course, your enemy's thinking, well, what's the counter to your counter, and it can make it a very interesting sort of game. And even though it's such a simple concept, it's things about like placement or taking out these life points or these life nodes that weaken the enemy that really makes the game quite unique. So I definitely think it's quite a good game in regards to just its design philosophy. It's also quite an easy casual game. So at the start, we can pick a specialist that has different bonuses and abilities. So this gives us an extra 50 additional supply per turn and these starting units. This gives us a free level 3 marksman, one saber tooth, and increases movement speed. Now, movement speed is nice if you're going to go for a mob rush, which I'm going to try and go for. So, if you're going for a long game, I would probably go for the extra supply points each turn. If I'm going to go for a mob rush, then I want to go for lots of crap troops early. So my first strategy is we see where the map is built. You see the enemy starts with these, and I'm going to try and go for a mob rush with my units. So I'm going to try and aim to knock these units out as best I can. And of course, each unit has its own key abilities. So of course, these are your crappy mob units that aren't particularly good at anything, but they can bog down your enemy quite easily. So of course, what we do is we bog all these three down, one after the other. And then over here we have our steel balls, which are sort of anti-single units, so these would be quite useful. We also have some bonus abilities on the right, such as calling down sentry strikes. And here we have our health nodes that, if are damaged, will temporarily weaken our forces. We can also spawn troops on the right and the left, which makes it extremely sort of interesting in terms of this simple sort of playstyle where it's what unit should I bring to beat their troops, what specialist should I select first, and where should I place them? Should I go for the quick damage, or should I go for... Oh, he's waving, that's nice. Or should I go for a sort of a brawling map? You can see here the battle starts, we don't really do anything, we just watch it, and we see what part does well and what part does not. You see here that all of our... we have lost quite decisively on this in this scenario, so obviously my build is not very good. We've lost this, and I've lost some of my life points with the remainder of their bots. So now we need to counter this. So I've tried to do a mob build, and that didn't work. But now I'm going to try and pick a new sort of specialist, which will be my heavy armor, which I'm going to give to one of these chaps. And then I'm going to go for replication. So if they destroy enemies, they replicate. And I'm going to put down even more and see if I can just do pure mass. See if that works. This probably won't work because now they're starting to pull out some pretty dense anti-blob troops, but my aim is just simply to overwhelm them with the sheer numbers. So now we'll see how they counter. They're going to counter by doing more anti-blob weapons, so I'm going to have to start thinking about These are also quite good at anti-air, so they're probably thinking about my anti-air capability, whether or not I'm going to bring out any sort of flying machines. And it's just that sort of, it's almost like a techno chess. I'm doing my plan, they do their plan, we try and work out who wins from that. So my strategy does not appear to be working very well. And so now I need to start thinking of an alternative to this strategy. Potentially now I'm going to start having to move into bigger bots, but see, I'm just getting slapped, so it's not off to a good start. So I've got to start thinking, now these 2 rounds ahead, how do I counter this? What's my get around? So my strategy is not really working. I can deploy 4 fangs and even go for more of mass, which I'm going to go for. And I'm just going to double down because I am a potato. So I'm just going to keep on doubling down my mass, and I'm going to even upgrade these. So if I can, I'm going to go with... Oh, underground. I can't go underground yet, but I'm going to equip these guys with long range. And I'm going to deploy another large mass troop. And see if that works. We are really going heavy into mass now. They're also going heavy into mass. But because they've got that anti-mob, I don't know whether or not I'll be able to sort of stop them. But I can try. But yeah, what I find very good about the game is the fact that you have such unit variety, you can really build very differently. So I can go for mass, I can go for really high quality single unit weapons like massive anti-tanks, like this giant sandworm, or I could go for a giant overlord ship or a war factory, which makes it very unique in terms of how you want to play and really sort of developing round by round your armies. In this case, we're doing slightly better now. The mob wave is starting to do a little better than it was before. And our mass is now beginning to work out for us. I'm just about to damage one of their weak points, that will weaken them. Oh, and they spawn some troops behind me. Not the end of the world. I may have to bear that in mind, but that is easy points for my crabs, so I'm not too worried about that. There we are. Of course, bigger bots do greater damage, but my horde mentality is starting to work out for me. As bonus ability, I'm going to use underground threat on that flank. Then I'm going to put down 2 of these. And I'm going to give them the underground movement. I'm going to spend some money on a missile to see if I can get an easy kill on both these flanks. That might be able to be enough to knock him out, but we'll have to wait and see. Okay, he's gone for full anti-horde, which is understandable. So there's the first mech with the Vulcan anti-swarm bot. So now he's trying to counter my actions. That's what I really like about the game. There's a counter for everything. It's about how you build your armies towards the late game. Okay, my troops should be replicating. There should be a massive swarm of them now. Yeah, the swarm grows. They're weakened. I can now really start hitting them hard. Although they are dealing with my little swarmers, it didn't affect me too much because there's just too many of them. And my falcons, my fangs were the best. Oh, 2 scorpions, 2 wasps, 2 marksmen. Don't even know what wraiths do. We'll see what these do. Gonna go for full upgrades. And this may mean I lose this round, but we'll see. Okay, he's put 2 of these back. He's going hard on those, but I think I'm just going to have a better quality army, so I'm not going to be too worried at this stage. Now, this game is great because you don't have to think too much. Yes, it's a bit of a chess game, but at the end of the day, all you're really doing is watching the battle after you've deployed your troops. And it's all really about the placement and seeing what the enemy's doing and building off of it. And each game can be completely different, so I can have a horde game one round, and then the next round I can have a pretty rubbish game of just pure heavy tanks. What I would say though is that the game does suffer a bit from Dota syndrome. So if you don't know what Dota syndrome is, basically Dota syndrome is where you really enjoy a game because you're new to it and you don't really play to be competitive, you just play for fun. But the more you get invested into it and the higher you go because of the matchmaking, the more competitive opponents you come across, and the more competitive opponents you come across, the worse it gets because you start trying to find a mini-max approach, you start trying to find out what's the best builds, and then it quickly becomes a nail-biting, head-turning nightmare. As you slowly go mad from trying to beat the most meta builds, and then you get more toxic and it's all, this is awful, I hate it. But the cure for that is simply not playing after a certain period of time, so it's good for a little break. I'm going to go with this, and I'm going to really mass equip my boys up. Let's do another upgrade. I'm just going to go pure upgrade on troops, and I'm going to put down some fangs on the left flank. To counter these. After that, I'm going to start upgrading these bad boys and give them shields. And I'm going to then put down 1, 2 rockets. And that should be enough to deal with this. He's going hard into those bad boys. I don't think that will work because I'm going to use fangs with longer range. So next round I'm going to spawn more fangs and more fangs and more fangs. So it's an interesting build. Maybe it'll work because of the sheer numbers, but I think I'm going to be able to stop him in his tracks. Yeah, very much so. Although they are starting to increase their range. Oh yeah, they've increased their range significantly. That makes it very much harder for us to win this. Yeah, so this is his comeback, so he's really gone hard into his range, which is understandable. I don't think he can kill my my wraiths, so I don't really know how this is going to fix. Oh, there's that one guy who can kill my wraiths. That's going to cause a lot of damage to me. So now to counter these, I think the best way to counter that would be a large battleship, an overlord. because that will hopefully mean they can't hit my floating aircraft. But yeah, you do get that real hard delta feeling of the Dota syndrome once you really get obsessed with the game, because it can be quite easily be it's just an easy sort of game to get into, and this goes to show the design philosophy being that sometimes a load of simple processes tacked on together can make a very fun and enjoyable game. I mean, this is a very simple process of rock, paper, scissors, but on a massive scale, and the concept is very basic. Your army versus mine, take turns and see who wins. And depending on how you build, it can completely change the dynamic and make it very unique. But you can see he's already gone for the counter of the melting point, which is exceptional because, of course, that's such a great counter against my overlords. So he's done a really good counter to my build. It's a very strong counter he's done here, which is very good. I mean, I can't really complain about that because of how intelligent that counter was. And I think he's beaten me. That's a very good counter. I'm very impressed by that. Yeah, but sometimes that just happens, and you can see he's really built, and that's the joy of the game. It's the idea of that. What am I going to do next? Well, he's got the big boys, well, I'm probably going to go for an air one. So if I'm going to go for an air one, then he's going to do something that can knock out my air. And it's just this sort of it's basically just a big chess game, which I really love. I love the idea of this sort of big arcadey sci-fi chess game. And I'm going to try and get at least one victory. I want to get one W, boys. Otherwise, they're just going to see me constantly lose. Like, what the hell are you reviewing? You can't even win one round. All right, and this. All right, now I'm fucked. All right, this is the end. This is the last video. I give up. Fucking, I'm going to get smacked here. Oh no. What's your tactic now, eh? What's the plan? I've hard countered the overlords. His new typhoons aren't enough to counter me, and I've got enough chaff on the ground to sort of occupy damage dealers. Okay, he has stopped me. Yep. Ah, so close. I had him. What did he do that was different? I think he just must have put more typhoons out. Ah, well. Almost. Almost would have come back. Almost would have come back. So close. Almost had him. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave it there, but that was Mechabellum. A very unique game. So I showed the gameplay. I've lost multiple times, but it is what it is. So Mechabellum, great auto battler. It's basically just chess, but with robots, or just when you were a kid and used to play Beyblades and let the Beyblades fight out. But of course, in terms of actual gameplay, you've got to design your build. You've got to plan what your enemy is going to do, try and upgrade your units to counter, and try and really aim what you want to it's anticipating what your enemy is going to do. And sometimes it can anticipate really well and just dominate. Other times you can do really badly. But in my case, I did a pretty good job at swarming with wasps, and I just like how each battle is different depending on the enemy's playstyle. What I would say is it is a game you want to play in short spurts, because you do get a hard, bad case of Dota syndrome where you play it for a while, you do pretty well, you start getting more competitive lobbies or against better players, and then slowly but surely the game becomes a meta grind. So great to play with friends, great for a few hours to kill, but eventually, sooner or later, you're going to end up getting addicted or end up getting absolutely broken from the sheer amount of sweat that can come along with this sort of these battle points. Anyway, that was me for the day, boys. I might do some live streaming of this later, but I hope you enjoyed. But definitely recommend giving it a go. I'd say it's a unique sort of game, and it's a solid. I'd give it for what it's trying to do. It's a solid 9, lads. I mean, if you like this sort of game, you like this sort of a chess style, but you've just got to go into it thinking this is basically chess with robots, basically chess with robots. But anyway, thanks all for watching, and I'll see you all later. Adieu.